Greetings to Shirley. Shirley, good evening to you as well. My apologies. I just,
It's okay.
greeted Ridhima. Shirley, this is Upinder Singh Chawla. Hi.
Hello,
Hi, nice to meet
Deepak.
you.
Nice to see all of you here. New to NLP, yes, Sandhya. Sandhya, you know Tripti, right? Tripti, she's a practitioner and she's been doing wonderful job with doing a lot of practice with their clients, and that's amazing. Nice. Thank you so much, Ishman, for telling me about it. You're from Gurgaon. How are things there in Gurgaon, Delhi, Noida?
Hi. Yeah, hi. Things are pretty much okay. We stay indoors. We're not really stepping much outdoors yet.
Uh-huh.
But yes, as you know, it's everywhere. The COVID thing has taken up everywhere so badly. But we're just staying safe and hoping the same at your end too.
Yep. Yep. In
Where,
Pune,
where are you?
things are closed. I'm in Pune, everyone. I am in Pune, Maharashtra. It's been 20 years I'm in Pune. I have lived in Delhi as well. And I quite often travel to Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai. Delhi, Gurgaon is also a frequent visit. Every year, at least 2 times I visit Delhi. Apart from the personal reasons, of course, for the professional reasons as well. Okay, great. Thanks so much for Rahul for confirming. Oh, nice. Lovely, Johnny. Nice to know you. Beautiful. William Houghton. Good stuff. Thanks for confirming that as well. Great. So we have a lot of people. We are starting right now. We are going live as well on FB. I will just tell you, open the agenda for today. We are going to work around and understand about reframing from NLP point of view. And when we are talking about COVID and we're talking about the stuff of staying indoors, we're talking about different things which is happening outside the world, there are people who are saying this is the best time to invest in yourself. There are people who are saying this is the best time to find self within, discover self, find out what you do, discover new things which you love doing, etc., etc. My experience with COVID from last 3 months, to be very honest, has been just amazing. From the point of view of personal learnings, from the point of view of me finding new stuff, new learnings for myself and discovering new ways to do different things which I like. For example, I love workout and I like to do different things in my workout. So discovering self is COVID for me at this moment. Having said that, all the due respect to so many hospitals, doctors, nurses, people working out. Another meaning for COVID to me in these last 3 months is that there is a lot of need for mental health. There is a lot of need for people knowing themselves, self-awareness. Sorry to say, but there are cases for suicide which has also happened outside. But the learning from all of that, there are 14 people who got in touch on personal coaching sessions for getting them recovery from the suicidal thoughts. They were actually getting in there. So it was a kind of thing. So I think the second important learning, which for me in these times have been one specific thing. Whatever you do, please create mental health awareness to each and every one. And it is okay to feel bad. It is okay to feel sad. However, using NLP, we all know people who have already used NLP, they know that they have choice. Because NLP is all about choices, right? Geography has become history for me. Nice, Johnny. I like that. I like that. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. And that's whatever I'm talking about right now is also related to what we are going to do and what we are going to understand in today's topic. Okay, all right. Were you stranded on the places due to lockdown without access to internet, electricity, Ridhima? No, Deepak, I've been thankful to the ecology. I wasn't stranded. However, I think that yes, there are people who were in that position, and it could be very, very difficult for them internally if they are quite used to the internet. Having said that, I've also discovered that I can utilize internet as a choice to be doing something. Vis-a-vis, I also need to create a choice to not to access internet and do something with my body, and that's what I believed. Okay, nice. Coming back to one important thing today is I have Shirley with me. I think most of you have met Shirley in the last week's session as well. And Shirley, I met Shirley in Sisimbra again when I was there with John Grinder's seminars and the trainings and train the trainer training last year's. And I met Shirley over there. She's from Miami and she does a wonderful job with, there's a beautiful live life moment, the entire thing which she does there, and just amazing. You know, we will talk about it as well. For today, when we discuss the entire process of the concept of reframing in NLP, I invite all of you to keep writing your questions when we are, done with a little basics and we are done with the techniques, and then we will ask you to keep, ask your questions. That structure will help us to be clear for many people who are joining over here. And there are people from different categories, different places, and people who know NLP and who doesn't know NLP. And I invite you to please respect that part. So please ask your questions. We are very open and we love to do that. However, let us go ahead, discuss, give you some idea, give you the frame, and then give you the technique, like do the technique, experience it, and then we would go ahead in the question answers. Is that okay with all of you? Yep. All right, great. Thanks so much. Please let me know. Okay, thanks Suganya, thanks Johnny, thanks Ishwar. Lovely, thank you so much. Okay, today's topic is reframing, which I think every one of you have utilized it at one point or the other in your life. This is not something which is new. Okay. However, yes, using NLP, we are using a structure to understand what is it and how is it. It is not something which is very new. Reframing has been there for a lifetime. When I'm just telling you about COVID, and I'm talking to you about that there are people who are saying and complaining about the times which they are going through, and there are people who are saying that they are able to identify their own strengths during these times. Isn't it? You must have heard two kinds of people. One, who are able to identify that there are problems outside, which is a fact for some. They're complaining, they are being dependent on things, and there are people who are coming to you and saying to you and telling you, hey, you know what, I'm exploring new things for myself. I explore, this is what happens to me. Isn't it? Yeah, this is what is happening. Now, having said that, I was explored to NLP. I've told you about it yesterday and the last week as well, and I use excessively and I understand techniques at a quite deeper level. I take reframing as not a technique individually. Please understand this fact. I take reframing as not a single technique, but I take reframing to be utilized in each of the concepts of NLP. Okay, neuro-linguistic programming, which is a bigger concept in which there are multiple concepts in which you are using, or we are using as coaches, we are using reframing multiple times at different levels. It's not a single technique. It is to be used at different places. I'll tell you one specific thing which happened with me in my life when I was learning NLP, and bingo, reframing comes there as well. It's very funny. It's really funny. I was, Shirley, it was just 1.5 years old. I think just a small kiddo. When I was born, I was the most cuddliest, most chubbiest child in the hospital. I won my mom used to say I won the award of, smiley and chubbiest small kiddo, the just 2 days kind of. And 1.5 years passed by, everything good. And I remember this when I was doing my master practitioner. This is about my master practitioner. It came out. My coach asked me something. Johnny, you might know Keiki. Yep. So my coach asked me something about something which hurts you, something which troubles you. I have worked on everything. What is it coming right now? And something came up. And it was 1.5-year-old little Anu. My name was Anu before my marriage. 1.5 little old Anu was left alone, okay, was left alone to the dadi, that's the grandmother, to the grandmother, and the mom and dad, my mom and dad, actually, yeah, that time we were in MP, Madhya Pradesh, if anyone knows about it. And my mom and dad, they left me to my grandmother, 1.5-year-old, and they left me and went for a vacation in Manali. They did it. Okay, all right. And after a year, my brother was born. So that's a different story. And at that time, when I was going through a trance, at that time, I felt that feeling, and it was very heavy for me as a child. Anu had a feeling that she didn't like. Okay, a feeling which wasn't liked. And you know what? There was a specific line which I used to say, that they didn't love me. I started talking about they didn't love me. They didn't paid me attention. They didn't love me. And this specific memory came up. My sentence was, they didn't love me, and the specific memory came up. This happens while we are working in NLP, okay? And what Keki did is reframe the beautiful thing. He said, okay, where are you feeling it? I said, I'm feeling it over my shoulders, over here in the back, like that. It's quite heavy. And he said, okay, what would happen if you change it? And it was quite heavy, and he changed it with the rose beds, which I still feel it. And he changed that feeling. He changed that feeling to the rose beds. And now whenever I go back to that memory, it is about rose beds. And it is not about the heaviness which I was having it. That is just one of the examples of changing, working on the modality of feeling and changing the frame of feeling. In this process, what he did is he worked with me and he changed the feeling which I am accessing. For simple example, I was in my session, in one of the corporate sessions I was giving, and a group of people, going fantastic. And one of the lady, oh my God, it was going so good, Shirley. I was going just so fast. Okay, let's do this. Okay, all that thing is going on, and I'm on the top of it, and I feel that everything is going good. Okay. Suddenly, a lady comes to me and says, "I think I see you aggressive." Did you understand, everyone? I think I see you aggressive. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि आप aggressive हो. And to my surprise, I was, oh, okay, all right. And then what happened? There's another lady who was just there, and this lady was just talking to me, and she overheard, and she said, "Hey, but I am finding her the most passionate trainer in the class. It's just amazing. See the happenings in the class." Do you understand what's happening? There are two people. One, in the same reality which Ridhima is doing, in the same reality is taking as aggressive.
Thinking pattern is different.
Yeah, and the same reality, someone over here is saying passionate. Two meanings.
Different
same
maps,
reality.
different maps of the world.
Different maps of the world, same reality. The reality is being accessed in different ways. Yes, Johnny. Yes, Samir. Same reality accesses different ways.
Perceptions are different, I suppose.
Perceptions are different, exactly. Right? Different perspective, different perceptions, different maps, different experiences. Now, my point is not that there are different perspectives, there are different reasons to it also, depending on my experiences. However, in NLP, the coach, which means anyone who learns NLP knows it, that NLP has a choice. So if I am thinking that whatever you are doing is making me feel sad, frustrated, irritated, whatever the feeling is, I'm feeling that feeling, isn't it? So you as a coach can come to me and help me if in case I am ready. If in case I am ready. If in case I am ready to work with you, you can help me to replace that feeling if it can be used in a different way. Okay, she can keep feeling aggressive, or I can work with her and create more choices at her map of the world to feel it differently as well. So reframing is just like, you have seen the photos. आप सबके घर में फोटोज होते हैं, पुराने फोटोज होते हैं, एंड हमारे पुराने फोटोज को हम लोग क्या करते हैं? आपने कभी पुराने फोटोज को निकाल के, पुराने फ्रेम्स में से निकाल के नए फ्रेम में लगाया? Have you put out the old photos from the old frames and put up a new frame in the same photo? Right, Mira? And she's smiling so beautifully.
Yeah,
Correct?
yeah. We do that, yes.
And what happens then?
It gives better picture or a
Yep.
beautiful, the same thing, but it
Yep.
looks so different, yes.
Exactly. The same content, the content remains same and the whole frame changes and
Correct.
gives you a new meaning, right? In NLP world, we say that we are changing the beliefs, the patterns, the thinking, the thoughts, the words or whatever, all of that. And now we have flipped it, right, Preeti. And we have all of this. And then what are we doing with it? We are actually working on the see or the hear or the feeling or the smell or the taste, and we are creating different meanings to it. That's what we are actually doing, aligning to it. Yeah. Have you ever old photos remind memories? Yes, absolutely. And have you ever also got to know that now reframing are two kind of it? Okay, one is content, one is context. We're going to come to it. We're going to open with a frame of a technique. We're going to do a technique right now to understand what are we saying, and then we are going to understand what is content and what is context reframe. And then there are certain ways to utilize reframing. Reframing is not just done one way is to just say it, but there are multiple ways in which you do reframing very strongly in NLP, especially when you work around it. Okay, have you ever worked with there are people in economy, and you have had one kind of people in the economy is going fantastic and you've seen them growing. Economy is going down and you've seen them going down. Happens, isn't it? Correct. This is happening right now in front of us. Correct. There are multiple people who are growing while the economy is lowering down. Those kind of people are also there. Same map, same reality outside. But there is something which they're doing inside. There's something which they do inside so beautifully that it just changes. It just changes. Okay. We are right now going to get into the technique to make this more clear. And let me tell you, you would not understand NLP just by talking about it. You would understand NLP by doing it. And let's first do the entire technique, get into it and chunk by chunk and deconstruct the whole thing. Okay. All right. Nice. Yes. Thanks, Shirley, for writing in. You can go ahead with the technique and then we open the content and the context for them.
Yes. Well, great. Super excited to be here. This week, it was very interesting because we had a whole day. I have 6 children and I took my 3 younger ones to the dentist on Tuesday, Ridhima. And the dentist office is not very close to where I live. So it's about an hour drive. So I said to the dentist, when I made the appointment about a month ago, I said, well, can you give us all one day? So because everybody needed, my daughter had a few cavities, my son had a chipped tooth, my other daughter had something else. So everybody, we had several things that needed for each one of us. So I asked them to please give me one day where we could all get our work done. And they said, fine, right? So we show up, but here's what happened. The dentist is a very close friend of mine. I've known her for 9 years. And so we're outside, very, social distancing, wearing our mask. My little daughter, my 10-year-old, she goes into the dental office. And, after a little bit, they work on her, whatever. My friend, my doctor, Dr. Chabrol, she brings me in and she says, Shirley, I have to tell you something. And I'm like, she looks very, like she looks worried a little bit. So she shows me the x-rays because they did a panoramic x-ray. She shows me the x-rays and she says, you see right here, these 2 molars are still baby molars. You know, the what they call milk molars, they're baby molars. She said, there's nothing coming in behind them, meaning underneath them, there's nothing pushing them up. So she's not going to get new molars, like the adult molars that she's supposed to get. I was like, okay. And she says, that can happen very rarely, but it happens that no new teeth come in. So I'm thinking my daughter's going to have these 2 holes in her mouth, right? And so she says, well, what we need to do as in that situation is, because there's nothing pushing them up, these 2 won't fall off anytime soon. She could literally be like this until she's 50, 60, maybe even her whole life. And she says, so that just means we have to take care of these molars, right? So she was concerned, and she just says, we have to really take care of these molars. You know, we have to really make sure there's no cavities in them, really, you know, because they need to last a really long time. And remember, when we have baby teeth, they take on a whole lot because baby kids don't brush them, they eat candy, blah, 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 right? Okay. Well, you know, I'm like, okay, well, she doesn't have 2 molars that she's supposed to have. I go outside, I meet my 10-year-old daughter, and I said, Isabella, apparently you don't have 2 molars, which means you're not going to be changing these 2 teeth, you know, these 2 teeth in the back, they're going to be there forever. And I said, so she looks at me and she's like, okay, like it doesn't seem like a bad thing, right? We go to my oldest daughter, my 16-year-old Mia, and we said, guess what, Mia? Isabella doesn't have 2 molars. And she goes, that's great. It's 2 less teeth that she has to change and go through that pain to, right? Because changing teeth is painful, right? Remember when you were a kid and you're just like moving that teeth over and over and over, and you're just shifting it, and it takes a while to like come out, and you're like, oh, just hoping it. You know, my oldest daughter just said, that's great. It's 2 less teeth that she has to suffer and not get through. So I thought it was very interesting. We had the doctor's perspective, and then from a younger person's perspective, it's like, yes, no changing teeth. So that was my reframing story this week, and where there was a very different perspective, and they definitely made the best of it, right? Thank you, Johnny. So let's do an exercise. I mean, I had Deepak in a little bit. He's just made a great comment. I want to make a reference to it. He said, so I was quoting Ridhima when she was saying there's 2 kinds of people that have happened during COVID for the most part, right? If we just think of a highest logical level, if we chunk up. So Ridhima said there's people who are complaining. Of course, you know, this has been challenging. They're just voicing their frustration, their uncertainty, they're voicing that. And then there's people who are really exploring, right? So Deepak said, well, with very low resources, what can one explore when everything was locked down? Miss Shirley, like, what, you know? So I said, that's a great question, Deepak. Let's hold on to that and let's work on it. So I would love to invite every single one of you, if possible, to really experience NLP, right? NLP is about experiencing. In fact, all of life is about living an experience. I mean, think of the idea that we would be sitting here today, and I invite you to eat your favorite dessert. But instead of eating the dessert, we just talk about it, right? Ridhima would be like, well, we're going to eat it, right? But let's just talk about eating your favorite dessert, but we actually don't eat it, okay? Or let's talk about being in love, but actually not being with the one you love. Let's just talk about it. No experience at all. How would life be if there was no actual experience? Give me a word in the chat of what life would be if there was no experience. Okay, I love that. Reedy says, I remember those days where I went to the dentist for removal of every berry. Yes, very painful. Yeah, exactly. It would be boring. It would be flat. It would be bland. It would be meaningless, dull. Imagination. Well, yes, we have our imagination, but is it quite the same thing? Senseless, full of voids, damn boring. That's right. Energetic. Okay, good. All right. You have creativity. Green, only imagination. That's right. We could definitely use our imagination. And with NLP, we have used it where we have some of our students here and we've had attendees to the classes and we almost make them feel like they are tasting their real dessert. But typically you would know and probably agree that the experience itself of, I mean, how would we even be able to talk about eating our favorite dessert if we hadn't experienced it first, right? Sometimes we could speak hypothetically about a subject, but it's not until we actually have the experience that we can have a contrast, that we can have a difference of, oh, I thought it was going to be like this, but it ended up being like this, right? Okay. So the experience. So I want to invite every single one of you to experience this process. Okay. Let's just explore. Let's just have fun. That's what I tell my students. We're just exploring. This is what exploring is about, Deepak. It's about doing this exercise and just having fun with it and seeing what happens. Will it work? Will it not work? Who cares? Let's just explore it and see what happens. Okay. All right. So this is what we'll do. So imagine that there's an event, a situation, like the challenge, perspective in life right now that you'd like to see different, that you'd like to have a different perspective on. Okay. So for Deepak, it could be perhaps the idea that, well, how will I explore during COVID? So think of that picture. Okay. So think of that situation that you're experiencing or that you experienced that you'd like to have a different perspective on. In other words, imagine you have like this coin right here. Okay. This is a quarter, 25 cents, United States cents. And on one side, it has George Washington. And on the other side, we have the eagle, which is the national bird. Okay, the national bird. So you right now have one experience. You have one experience of one side of the coin, and you'd like to have a different side of the coin. Okay, so come up with one particular scenario where you'd like to have a different perspective, right? And when you have that, just give me a thumbs up. When you have that, give me a thumbs up.
And
Okay.
they can take a simple one.
Yep,
For the matter of the exercise at this moment, because we have seen that there are some critical issues also comes up. Hold on, we can handle the critical issues personally. Yeah. So pick up simple things which is there. Think about a simple, I'm just writing it down for all of you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Think of something that's quite simple, because the purpose is to just do the exercise so that way you can experience it. And the concept of reframing is something that could be used with more simpler things. It could be used with more complex things, but the more complex things requires a little bit more practice and personal will on your end. Okay. I know that recently I was going through something very, very challenging, and I needed to reframe it but it took a while. It was such a challenging thing. I had recently gone through a divorce late last year. So I was working through that, and it took reframing, but I had to work a little bit harder. So for the sake of today and this exercise, I'd like you to choose something that's relatively simple so that you can experience it, see the perspective, and then you could get really, really good at it. Okay. On your own. Okay. Very good, Johnny. Yeah, you could use a dice instead of a coin. That is even better. You have multiple sides of seeing things. You can reframe it in multiple things. I love that analogy. Bravo.
Dice, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So once you have that scenario, that perspective that you'd like to have a different dice on, okay, then let's, you gave me a thumbs up. You have that, right? So you have, Johnny, a scenario, right? You have a scenario that you like. Okay, great. Awesome.
And I announce it to everyone. We are going ahead with the exercise. Shirley is going ahead with the exercise, and we are inviting you to think about that scenario or that particular experience in which you would like to create more meanings or add something else. Okay, having different meanings, a different side of the coin. Think about it as she's going ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you bring up that, let's make a picture of that. Okay, let's put that into a picture. Imagine that you have a picture. Whether you want it, whatever color you want it to have, whether it's black and white or color. Maybe you want it to be a little longer, maybe just square. Just put that into a picture, okay? And imagine it has a frame around it, you know, like a picture frame, okay? Imagine it has a frame around it, any kind of frame that you want. You got it, okay? Joseph, I see you've got it. Very good. Mira, you have that? You got it? Okay, very good. Yes, awesome. Mitakshara, I see that you got it. Yep. Okay, very good. So you have a frame around it. Very good. All right, now let's say that you look, you know, imagine where you'd have this in your house, where you would position that. Let's take a table, your room, your office, you just put it somewhere. And as you're looking at it, you're like, I'd like to have a different frame on it, a different frame on it. So we're going to take that picture, that you're going to hold on to it. Okay, you're going to go grab it, right? Like, go get it. And we're going to, assuming it wasn't COVID, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to go to your favorite home goods store. Right here in the United States, in Miami, we have TJ Maxx. We have a store called Ross. And so I'm going to go to TJ Maxx, and you can go to your favorite store or your favorite frame store, whatever. And you're going to walk in, and I would love to invite you to find the most awesome frame that you have ever seen. I mean, maybe you like it to have sparkles. Maybe you'd like it to have different material. Maybe you want it to be out of wood, or maybe you would change it into gold, or maybe, you know, some solid material, anything that, you know, your favorite frame. All right, and you find that new frame and you say, this is very nice. I'd like this frame. This is a beautiful frame. I would like to own this frame. Okay, so you pay for it, go back home, and then you see yourself taking the picture, the original frame that was there before, and you find yourself replacing it with the new frame. You take the picture out, you take the glass out, you then put the position, the new frame, you put the picture there, and then you put the glass, you know, the glass back, the new picture, you tighten it up very nicely. You make sure there's no wrinkles, everything's perfect. You close that up, and then you turn it over. And now we go back and put it either on the same place or in a new place, wherever you want to show off this new frame. Okay. Very good. Awesome. Great. Great, Geetika. Awesome. Okay. And so now I'd like you to take a step back, a few steps back, however you feel comfortable, where you can see it, and observe what this looks like now with this frame. And allow your mind, consciously and unconsciously, to see a different perspective that you hadn't seen before. Where there's a different angle, a different possibility, a different perspective. And as you're doing that, you become aware of what this new side of the coin or the side of the dice represents for you. And as you're becoming aware of this new perspective, great job, Nitin. There's a sense of gratitude to yourself, to your mind, for allowing you to see something that you hadn't seen before, for expansion and possibilities. For the ability to see life with a new frame. Very good. Deepinder says he does it many times. Wonderful. Great job. Very good. So I'd love to now get you to come back to now. And who would love to share your experience? Nice, Mitakshara, great. She says, certainly got a new perspective. Awesome. Go ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
Shirley. Yeah. Hi, good evening there. And
Hi, good evening.
okay. So when we are speaking about reframing and all the lockdown and everything, and there are many people like me who are like, and especially the independent people, the freelancers like me who are really, really waiting for opportunities and things are really going slow. So,
Yeah.
so there are a couple of opportunities where things have taken place at first, so the second level discussions have taken place, but we still are waiting for that perfect opportunities to come to you so that that career aspect in you is satisfied, and things are definitely taking forever to come. So this was an experience which I wanted to reframe as such, and believe me, once when you were, I was trying to visualize. Yeah, I was trying to visualize as you were speaking. So the old frame was something like a metallic one, a typical aluminum frame where the luster has gone away and the corners are chipped off, and they could hurt when you touch or something. And new frame which I would want to use is some beautiful carved wood frame where I could put it more like an antique or an art piece. Yeah. And then when as you spoke and I was trying to look at it, so certainly there, I keep on reminding myself that yeah, okay, when you are waiting, it gives you time, it gives you a genuine chance to improvise upon your skills. So that is something which I definitely keep on telling myself. But this particular thing really gave me a different angle to it again. So that is what I'm going to share. So this is like when you put it into a frame, and that is something like. So in Indian households, we often see that there are these paintings of Mahabharata or even the paintings of wars which are being fought, and those are put up on, as art decor, as art pieces. So similarly, your own difficult situation can also be put in the form of that perspective. And I mean, when you go frame it into something positive, it can also be like a reminder for you that look, even in the future, that look, there have been difficult times, but they have been a part of your experience in making you stronger. They have given you an opportunity to look at your own self, contemplate, introspect, and do so many things, and that's what came up. So yeah, that's my
Wow.
experience today.
Very nice. Good job. Good job. Absolutely. Thank you. Johnny, we'll be right with you. Dr. Needy raised his or her hand. Needy is a lady? Yes. Yes. Okay. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Dr. Needy.
Nidhi, are you here? Would you like to share?
Yes. Okay, we can go.
Johnny raised his hand.
And then Deepinder?
Yep.
So for me, I'm like I mentioned, I'm an NLP master practitioner, and I'm also working towards my PCC in ICF coaching. And
Nice.
I came out of full employment on the 4th of March 2020 with an intent of setting up my own coaching practice. And then I was thinking of having my coaching with clients face to face in the city of Bangalore by scheduling meetings with one-on-one. And then the lockdown happened, and I said, this must be an invitation for something bigger. So that's how initially I said, I will have to wait till the lockdown gets over. And then I said, no, what can I do in the lockdown? And then I started doing this exploration with myself, saying what possibilities are emerging for me. And as we speak, from zero client on the 1st of April, today I have about 8 clients, paid clients,
Wow.
from Osaka, Japan, from Dallas, US, from Adelaide, Australia, from Singapore, Malaysia, Gurgaon, Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore. So that's why I said geography is no longer geography, it has become history for me.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yes.
I love that. I love that analogy, sir. Amazing. Nice.
Great job.
So I will never go back to, even once the lockdown is over, my normal is, I never liked working from home Now it is only work from home.
Oh, really? Ask me. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Yeah, Shirley, you're
So-
saying something.
With Takshara, this is really good because now Johnny's going to need a person freelancing to do stuff. So see, more jobs. Needs an assistant. Reach out right now. All right.
And I can coach her in return.
Yeah, of
Exactly.
course. Nice.
All right.
Lovely.
Dipinder.
Hi, Shirley. Hi,
saying-
everybody.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello.
So, before I share what I changed my frame into, there's a very small story. It says that those plants or those trees grow and flourish more in which you water less, because when you water abundantly in plants, the roots do not dig deeper inside the soil. Similarly, those children who are fed up with so many luxuries, PlayStations, you want to go home, take my car and everything. Uh, as compared to those children who are fed less, given less resources, I think they flourish more. And certainly, I believe, if there's a scarcity, I think I should take the best out of it. Now,
There is a saying in Hindi says that apatti mein avishkar.
it is not apati mein avishkar, but it says uh, necessity is the mother of invention. So, avishkar ki janani hai. That is how it works, right? So, zarurat, the necessity is always the mother of invention. So, before the lockdown and during my entire career of learning and development, I picture myself in a frame and I change that frame in my mind. Then I think rest is history. I believe 90% that you work in your mind, 10% is just implementation. So when I used to drive every morning 1.5 hours, reach office, then in the entire office, sit in the laptop the way I'm sitting right now, then drive 1.5 hours, this portion used to hurt. Oh my God, my neck and everything. Now we are in a lockdown, right? Can we think something positive out of it? Can we get a new Dipinder Singh Chawla in a mirror? Yes, we can. How do we do it? We sit more in a laptop. You have got equipments like this, small equipments like this. You can punch like this. You can have equipments like this because you're sitting more, or you can have a small dumbbell and you can just sit and do something like this.
Yeah.
When you're trying to picture or when you're trying to reframe, what I'm trying to reframe right now is a bigger physique, maybe a bigger, tricep or a bicep or whatever it is, whatever time that I'm sitting in a laptop, I'd like to invest maybe 5 minutes in it.
That's
And the
great.
rest, when I see myself in mirror after 1 month or so, I'm a fitness trainer. So I said, okay, I take a photograph of my, 1 month ago photograph. And then after 1 month, I took another photograph of the same Dipinder, after 1 month or so. And then I changed the frames. That look, this was an earlier frame. This is the current frame. Does it match or is it a change? So that's how I change my frame or change my physique or change my mentality that yes. So this is what I mean.
Congratulations. Lovely. That's one of the utilization of what you have as a resource. Interesting. Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yep, sure. You want to say something?
I was just saying you're able to see the different perspectives and how, here Mitakshara was able to do the exercise right here and create a new frame, a new perspective around it. And then we have Johnny who's already been working through that with a particular situation, Dipinder who's been working through that for a particular situation. And this is just fascinating. You get really good at just saying, what other perspective? And it's not making the way you're seeing it, like the people who are, not complaining, but they're feeling the frustration of COVID. It's not necessarily wrong, or it's not wrong or right, or negative. It's just a different angle. It's your experience at the moment. And this is just the ability to be able to see a different experience, a different perspective. So great on. Go ahead, Ridhima.
Just
Absolutely.
before Ridhima goes, and surely one point some participants said, not everything here in COVID is negative.
Of course not. We're just utilizing that example as about understanding how can we utilize reframing as a concept.
People who were buying to, wanting to buy a house for long because the prices in real estate were really high.
Absolutely.
They're investing. People who were trying to invest in share markets, the prices are down. So it's just about taking the opportunities, and people are doing it.
So it's all about, again, how do you perceive the world?
Yes.
The point over here is there are people who are new to NLP in neurolinguistic programming, and not only neurolinguistic programming. In general, there are people who are utilizing the concept of reframing. The concept of reframing is, what is reframing? Reframing is basically changing the internal representation of what you see outside. That's the deeper meaning of it. So whatever is happening externally as an event, and how do you perceive that external event internally inside you while you access that event, and how do you change the meanings of it? What happens when you change the meanings of it? Of course, the way you would process that information would be different. Your focus would shift. You would start doing something else instead of doing something else. The moment your focus shifts, your response shifts, your behavior shifts, your non-verbal shifts, and everything starts shifting. So does only reframing is changing it? No, but it is like one of the very important thing to start the process. Is only reframing changing the whole thing? No, it's a start of the process, and then which would take over with different more changes which is required in my conscious and unconscious both, and I can start working around it. So there are kind of how was your feeling when you felt depression? Okay, is there an intention of going there? Deepak, please let us know. Is there any intention of going there? Yep. To create, publish, yep, absolutely, Mitakshara, it does. Deepak, this could be a very important question, although I request, this question is quite, it may be intense for someone and it may not be. So we can request the person to think about whether this question has an intention, and you can have a permission to ask this question about it. Yeah, okay, with due respect of the person who has gone through it, because it's a very sensitive topic. Okay, there are, how many of you know that there are, how many kinds of reframing are there? Anyone? How many kinds of reframing are there? In NLP, there are, very specifically, we focus on two kind of reframes. Yep. One on, thanks Johnny. Yep. One on content and one on context. Has it ever happened with any one of you and you've said that my son, my child, my daughter is becoming this and becoming that and not doing this and not doing that? My child is becoming aggressive, or my child is becoming talkative, or my child is becoming stubborn. Yeah. Heard these sentences? Yeah. Okay. How would you reframe that? What was time frame of mind needed to overcome your situation? Okay, the time. Deepak, can we have the questions a little later if you can please help us, so that we can focus on the content right now? Yep, thanks Deepak. I respect your intentions. Okay, yes, Nidhi, for 2.5 years daughter, you also feel that? What is that specific word? And how can you utilize this in the reframing? When I say context, or when I say reframing of my child is aggressive, or when I say my child is stubborn, or when I say my child is highly talkative, and the person comes to you and it gives you this information. So there is one kind of reframe, which is context reframe. The context reframe is directly working on the behavior and the use of the behavior in different context. Supposingly, I am, say for some example, the person says that my child is aggressive, that aggression might be useful in some other context. And then I can reframe the context. Oh, okay, when the child grows up, at that time, maybe this aggression can be useful for her to speak up for herself or himself when he or she has to stand up for himself or herself. Maybe I'm reframing the context. Okay, I'm reframing the context and not the content. There is a difference. So there is a presupposition in NLP, and the presupposition is, yeah, Mira. The presupposition in NLP is every behavior is useful in some context. That itself is a reframing. There is another presupposition in NLP says that you must have heard about Thomas Edison multiple times and talking about failures. And he said that, no, I didn't fail. I got to know so many ways of not doing it. It was a feedback. Again, on Reframe, he was reframing the meaning of it. Failure is not, there is no failure, there is a feedback. The NLP presuppositions, if you have read, these presupposition itself is reframing things. Reframing itself is not a technique; it is utilized in multiple ways, in different ways. Yep. Coming down to context to reframe, any behavior is useful in any other context. Let's take fear. A lot of people come and say fear. What do you think? Instead of saying I have a problem, we can say I have a challenge. Yep, I can say that. I am changing the language pattern. Yes, absolutely, Riti, I agree to you. Will she be assertive when she grows older? Yes, Subha, it depends on how I build up other behaviors, Subha. Okay, all right. At that time, my intention, what is my intention that matters, Subha, when I am working with that person? My intention to my parent is that the parent understand that this is not the only behavior. What you remember tasking, Subha? What other ways can I do so that she changes her behavior? And I'll find out different ways to task her. Okay. Who cannot think out of the box and does not like to experiment is best suited for quality control or quality assurance job. Yep. Could be. So if he says that I don't think I'm creative. Yep. Okay. All right. So what other things? What other strengths does he have and how he can utilize those strengths in different contexts? So I'm shifting the focus completely to focus on what jobs he can focus on. As simple as that, right? Come on, let's get into more examples of context. You have fears. So much of people talking about fears. Last time we had fear workshop and people has written to me that have one more fear workshop. So that itself is a fear. Okay, so let's talk about fear. When someone comes to you and say, I have fear of XYZ, whatever. What kind of context can you change? What can you ask? What can you think? What is the positive intention of fear? What could be the positive intention of fear to come in that context?
What's emerging for you?
What's emerging for you? Okay, all right. And it could be different emergings, yes. What else? Protection from unforeseen events, yep. Correct. I can say and can reframe that dar ke aage jeet hai is again reframe, you know. The advertising agencies use a lot of reframing. Marketing and advertising agency use beautiful reframes. Just amazing. आप ये खरीद जैसे ही आप ये खरीदेंगे आपकी जिंदगी बदल जाएगी. जैसे ही वो चीज आपके पास होगा आपको ऐसा हो जाएगा. आपने सुना है? They're just reframing your mind. They're creating a new feeling to while you buy. It just happens, which I do not accept. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, some kind of fear is needed also, no? Because of that fear, you become the serious with your assignment, and then you
maybe yes. It depends on how is it useful. Absolutely, Amir. I agree. There are times where that fear is useful, whether it is assignment or whether it is a snake in front of me. And I can utilize that fear. It is useful. I don't want to be in front of it and say, come on, bite me. I want to test myself whether I can get bitten by you or not. Absolutely. So I can then reframe the context of the fear, isn't it?
I'm talking about the fear of failure.
Yeah.
The fear of failure exerts a pressure on you, and that pressure helps you to.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes. You can utilize the context again. So when I say I have fear, what is fear telling you? Maybe focus, maybe prepare, maybe do something else. So you are then focusing on something else, isn't it? That's all you're doing. You are preparing for that so that you can be more focused. Absolutely. What is the message of that fear? Is changing the context again.
Also, I would like to add on, like if I talk about stress over here, like
we talk about stress also people take it in a negative way, but I would rather say there are stress which is also called as a positive stress. So again, it is reframing how there are people who really perform better, very well when they are in a stressful situation. So this is, I would say, an example of how you reframe. I would rather say I perform better when I'm in a stressful, like when I have a stress of that particular, you can say a work. So again, this is called eustress, right? And there is this stress which is negative stress. So like people coming up with these stressful, I would say there are people always they take it in a negative form. So again,
absolutely,
you have to make up your mind.
This goes to two things. If you have read about epistemology, and there is something called linguistic descriptions, and whatever is happening to my body physiologically, which is my support. For example, what happens to you in your stress? How is your temperature of your body? How is your temperature of your cheeks? How are you breathing? How is the rate of speech? That's a description level, and that description level is given a linguistic word, which is stress, isn't it? Stress is just a word. It's a word which is given with some descriptions, and that description which happens to you or happens to someone else is useful, isn't it, Nidhi?
Yes.
Dr. Nidhi?
Yes.
It's useful. So there is a specific feeling which occurs to me at that time when I'm going into a project which is useful to me.
Exactly.
Yep.
Same thing happens with fever. You know, a lot of people, I mean, fever, we could say, well, what is a fever? Fever is a way for the body to let us know that there's something, maybe a lack of, something's lacking in the body. Fever. Or maybe when someone has a headache, normally somebody has a headache, it might be the body telling you, hey, you need to drink more water, you've had too much sun, or you need to sleep, you didn't get enough sleep. So all of these things are there, you know, there's a positive intention and there's a different way to see them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, correct. So when you have a context reframe, the one question, which is my favorite question, which I have discovered in a lot of work with John Grinder, Carmen Bostic, and Michael Carroll, and the word is intention. And whatever you do, that can go anywhere. Whatever you do and whatever you think and whatever someone else do and you feel about it, the reframe can be challenged by you're changing the context. The context with is, what is the intention of this behavior which you are having? What could be the positive intention of this behavior in your future? What could be the positive intention of that negative behavior which you think is negative, which you think, according to you, in your map of the world is negative? What could be the positive intention? And there's so many people come back and say that, oh, how can a negative behavior which I have in me right now, for example, someone says, a lot of people keep coming up, they say procrastination, stress, laziness, etc., has been taken as a negative behavior. I was coaching one of the person and he said about laziness, and we worked on one specific thing. What could be the positive intention of being lazy? Rest, maybe. Giving rest to the body or doing something else. Relaxation, exactly. So there could be some positive rejuvenation. Exactly, right. So my body needs rejuvenation and I'm going ahead.
One more thing, can I add on?
Yeah,
a
Neha,
lazy
go ahead.
person finds the easiest way or the shortest way to do the work, to do the task.
Say it again, please. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you properly.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying a lazy person finds a new way, a better way to do the task quickly or in a shorter form.
I like that.
Or they find somebody else to do it, right?
Yeah.
That's changing the content. Absolutely. That's changing the content. And when I'm changing the context, it could be different. When I'm changing the content, it could be different. Absolutely, Neha. Yes, you're right. That's being different ways to be more efficient. Lol. Yeah, correct. Let's go to the content. What could be the content changes? So there is some content. There is a context which is changed, which is behavior utilizing in different places. Okay. So I have a behavior, someone says I have a behavior of procrastination. What generally people do? Human behavior, what do you do? What we do? We label ourselves as we procrastinate in all the context. And we don't even realize it. We start doing it. And we fall into the trap of it. People start saying that I'm lazy, and they start saying I'm lazy in da 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 da. And when I find out that they're lazy in just one particular thing, and we find out they were not lazy, they were just taking a small break and rejuvenating themselves, and they can go back, but they were falling already. They were already into the trap of it. Just like our eighth circle, which Tony explains, right? Lack of resources help in increasing productivity. Yes, it might. That could be one way to reframe again with Akshara. Correct. So what is happening? What's happening? We are changing the meaning of the context and utilizing the behavior differently. How can you have the another one, which is content reframe? So you have something context, and now you have content. Okay. All right. So you change the content. For example, I'm confused. I'm just confused. What are you doing? And then how do I change the content? In the same content, in the same place, in the same frame. It's just like when Shirley said that you have a frame and you are now going to add or buy a new frame from your store. And you have a new frame now with the same picture. Okay, the same picture. Okay, that is context. You have a content, the meaning. Content work on the meaning of the words, the meaning of the sentence. And we're changing the meaning of it. Context is working on the behavior, and content is working on the meaning of it. You're something, you are, exactly, Subha. Yep, you're learning something new. Yes, that could be one. That could allow you to rethink. Okay, what else could be content? Confusion leads clarity. This means you're going to be more clear while you do things. Yep. Okay. And this is used a lot in NLP. And at times when you're learning NLP, there are a lot of times people say that I'm getting confused. And slowly and steadily, they get into the clarity. I'm into thinking mode. Yes, I can say that. I'm thinking. Okay. You might need more thinking about it. Yes. What else could be content reframes? What else could be content reframes? The example, talking loud means you are rude. Let's say this. Moving from cocoon. Nice. Yeah, that is used a lot in NLP as well. Cocoon to a butterfly and transforming your life. Content, the meaning of it. Asking questions. What does it mean, Deepak? I don't understand. Ask questions means what? Ask questions means what? What can be? You are, let's take this. You're asking questions to me. You're asking questions to me for clarification when confused. Yep. You might ask questions. Yes, you're asking questions to me and I am confused. And I am confused. How do you change the content meaning of it? You're asking questions to me and I'm confused. How do you change the content meaning of it? You can change the content meaning of it. Anyone?
Maybe you can be more specific and have more clarity on what he's telling.
Yeah. Can I have more clarity on it? What you are asking? Yes. Yes. Maybe you need more clarity on what I'm asking, or maybe I haven't framed the question in a way which you can understand, and I'm changing the meaning of what you are saying to me. Right? So there are two ways when I'm changing the context, which is behavior, and I'm changing the meaning of the yes, from, and to, and I'm changing the meaning of the sentence which is there internally to you, internal representation. Having said that, in NLP, while you utilize the entire concept of reframing very generally, in NLP, there are specific ways when you do that. In NLP, it's important that when I am working with someone or when I am changing things, I cannot proceed with reframing if I do not have the basic rapport with the person. It would break. It would completely break. I cannot go ahead if I do not have the meaning of the frame clear. and the intentions at the higher logical levels clear. So what I mean is that if I do not have what is the intention of my client to reach, I may put forward reframe. However, that reframe will not match to the client's intention. People who are coaches and trainers, are you able to understand what I'm saying? That's the most important part. If my intention is not matched to what I'm saying, it would not fit into the unconscious of the brain. Milton Erickson, there's a book, people who are so interested in NLP, people are asking about the books, Patterns of Hypnotics, Hypnotic Patterns of Milton Erickson, part 1 and part 2. And he has given a lot of examples on metaphors, especially on reframing, and he keeps saying, talking about a tomato plant and the way the tomato plant grows and the seeds, the way it takes time is the way your whole this particular process is going to take time. And it is easy for a seed to grow in its plant shape in the time it takes. Let you keep watering it the way it has to, evolution, let you keep watering it the way it has to, and it would start giving you the seeds you want. He used to do it in a very metaphoric. The reframing, the way he used to do it is a very, very metaphoric. He himself was utilizing reframing. So you have metaphors, you have stories, you have content, you have context. However, any coach who is utilizing reframing is utilizing it with the rapport and with the intention. That's one of the important things. Okay. And with after you have the rapport and the intention, you do not apply reframing just to apply reframing. You do a technique while you are applying it. You can use it with a technique as well. There is a book called Whispering in the Winds by John Grinder, and it's a beautiful book. The book also has n-step reframing concept. And in that, if you will see, he has utilized reframing again there by asking, what is the intention of the behavior which is occurring to you? For example, when I was facing a problem with my back issue, I used to ask this, what is the intention of the back pain coming to me? Conscious list of my intentions was about water, my workout, my running especially, my posture, all of that. I kept working on it for almost a year and I'm completely fine with it. It's just so beautiful. Okay, so there are multiple meaning and multiple ways we use reframing. All right, we are open for questions right now. Any questions so far coming up? How do we utilize more in NLP perspective? And with HRs, with trainers, with anyone and everyone. We're open for questions. Yep, Nidhi, go ahead. Do you have any questions around it, or how do you want to utilize this around NLP? Because there are multiple ways and multiple ways to do it.
So I have a question here. When we spoke about this reframing exercise where Shirley was taking us through this guided visualization kind of thing. So we often come across people who are not visual, they are more auditory or kinesthetic when it comes to their own representation systems and how they are. So for people, those who are not very strong in visualization, how can we utilize reframing? Is it only through communication because they'll be able to hear you more? They will not be able to look at. So how is it that we can do it?
There are multiple ways. One way could be that when I am working with the person, and if I have a rapport with the person and I've calibrated that the voice has an effect, I would use my own rhythm in the way my rhythm and this person's rhythm has matched. My rhythm to go up and tell him about the seed is going to take its own time and let you water it and take its own time. So I will use my voice to match up his voice in his breath of rhythm. That's one way. Without taking the person into trance or with taking the person into trance, I can have a choice in both ways. I can do it in both ways. Yeah.
Okay.
And second one could be just by creating, asking him questions. Consciously asking questions, and then collaborate, Mitakshara, collaborate when his own or her own auditory shifts. That's the point of data point for you. Okay, nice
Ekta
one. Shirley, will I add?
Yeah, Ekta has a great question. How can it be reframed? I am confused. Would like to know more perspectives. So there's a saying that says clarity comes before chaos. So often many coaches will tell you, like, when you say I'm confused, but be like, great, that means clarity is about to show up, you know, because the mind begins to try to make sense of it. And so in that transition, have you ever cleaned a room that has been really, really messy? And so it looks really messy. The way that I do it is I bring the stuff out, and there's a point in cleaning it up that it almost looks messier, because you start taking things out of the drawers and the closets and taking shoes and garbage, and you start, and it looks worse than when you started. Because when you started, it was comfortable, and now you're taking everything apart and you're like, oh, where is it? And then you do that to be able to put things where they go. So that confusion before clarity is a great frame that we use. So that's one reason. I'm confused. It means your mind is searching. It means that your mind is searching. So that's another perspective. Deepak asks, Ridhima, what happens when we have language barrier? How to reframe in content?
I would directly get into the new code game. Simple. Yep. I have done that before in my trainings as well. There are times when I was there in Sisimbra and I was practicing, and we had a language barrier. The guy was Spanish and he couldn't speak clear English, and I was working, and I think getting directly collaboration, that was one data point for me. Collaborate the physiology and then get to the game. That's it. No talking. And I think at times, as coaches, I have realized when I am in coaching, when I'm coaching someone, as coaches, I've realized talking less is more.
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
And the ability to use more of our nonverbal language.
Oh, bingo. Yeah, I go there. I really like your non-verbals. Yes, absolutely. What else? Please understand that reframing is a concept which is to be utilized with a combination of many things. A combination of your rapport, collaboration, you have mirroring, you're doing a lot of things which you are doing. Okay, listen to with the body. Yes, absolutely. So there is a lot of work which goes around. It is not a single technique which is available. It is utilized with many things. All right. Can I say that I can create a deeper change only with reframing? I don't think. I will have to work around the variety of techniques which is available in NLP, which I've learned in using NLP tools, and then change. For example, timeline therapy is itself a very beautiful example of reframing. Put things in your past, live in your present, and give time to your future. So what are you doing? You're reframing the concepts, changing the presentations. Yes, absolutely, Shirley. One of the other example which I would just like to close on is when I was doing my own practitioners. I have done my practitioners 5 times now. When I do my own practitioners, I was doing that, and I was actually going through a lot of grief of my mother's death, which I haven't spoken in my other webinars. And it was quite deep, quite deep. And I was working with my grief and my coach and healer, and she said to me so beautifully, the reframing which was utilized at that time, which I wasn't so aware of. And at times you do it naturally, and the other person doesn't even know. And she said, your mom hasn't gone. She's just there with you, because I've been so it wasn't easy for me to let go her. So she's just there with you like this on my left side, and she created that space. She's just there with you here, okay? And whenever you want to talk to her, she's just here. And she kept doing it. This is anchoring, and reframed it to me that she's just here, and I was able to let go, and it helped me to let go a lot of things apart from the grief. So the point is, how are you utilizing reframe in the technique is most important. Okay, all right. That's very, very important with the rhythm. She did beautifully with the rhythm. Okay, great. Any more questions around reframing? We have, yep, Mitakshi.
Yes. So I wanted to ask one thing. I think this is an example of the content reframing. How do you really reframe a really painful memory of a painful incident which a person has gone through? Because that is actually so painful. There are no positives about it whatsoever, and you cannot even look at it from a different context. So what can be done? I'm sure. I think you mentioned in the start of the session that these are complex issues and there are different ways and so what is your take on that?
Simple. I would directly work on internal representations. When the moment you're saying pain and pain and pain, and the way the auditory is coming, and it seems to me, yep, I'm here.
Hello.
Yeah, you can hear to me.
Yeah, sorry,
I can hear. No
yeah,
problem.
sure. Yes.
You can hear. Okay, all right. So what I'm saying is, I will directly get into the internal representation of how the pain is. So the internal representation of the pain, where the moment you were saying, I'm just suspecting, could be very heavy, could be heavier in a place, location in the body, and I would directly work on the submodalities of it. Okay. And I would not do a content or a context at that time. I would work on the color and the shape and the size and the entire process of it.
So is this like okay? So
you're breaking up,
Mitakshara, for me. The impact of those memories or trying to mute those unwanted sounds or something. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I think my internet connection is unstable.
No problems.
Yeah. So now, is it something like you're trying to mute those unwanted voices or trying to reduce the actual pain and the impact of it so that it just, you can take a look at it objectively rather than you yourself being into that picture and facing that? Is it like that?
Absolutely. Disassociation. That's what Johnny also mentioned. Yes, I am disassociating with that pain. It's not, has a reality change that my mother is no more? No. Correct.
Absolutely,
That's not as changed. But the way I was associating with that pain was quite heavier, and it wasn't so much on my conscious level. It was also at my unconscious level, where I was taking decisions which was influenced by that kind of grief which I was carrying.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I mean, decisions in terms of health, decision in terms of relationships. I was carrying all of that. So I disassociate myself. I know this has happened, but hello, my feelings I have a choice to have my own feelings. Yeah. Okay.
Ridhima, can I add something to it?
Yeah, Deepinder?
Can I add something to it?
Go ahead.
Okay, I think it is in the screen. It is written Mitakshara, right? That's the lady you were responding to, right?
Yeah.
So just for the benefit of everybody, let me tell you very clearly: any pain is an opportunity ever in your life. In my own neck, there's a small gap between C5 and C6. We call it vertebra. For the rest of the life, till the time I'm alive, no matter how many X-rays that I do, the gap would remain at the same level. Okay, and this happened way back in 2007 or 8. Now, this is a very common condition which can happen to me, Ridhima, Shirley, even you or anybody, because anybody working on a laptop or driving a four-wheeler or driving a bike, at some point of time during their life, their vertebrae are supposed to get little gapped, less or more, because of this. These are called lifestyle disorders. Now, there's one point whether you reframe it. I reframe it, oh my God, for the rest of the life, I'll be taking a pillow, there's blah, blah, blah. I'll be having a pain like Ridhima shared of the spine ache and everything. It is a very common condition. The second way of reframing it, thank God you gave me a pain. That means every day in the morning, I have to exercise for 15-20 minutes, and every day in the evening, I have to exercise for 15-20 minutes. Which means after a year or over a period of time, maybe after 5 years or 10 years or something, the same pain will make your body so stronger that you might not be a bodybuilder or something, but those pains will go away the moment you do shoulder exercises, neck exercises, because until unless those pains were given to you, you would never ever exercise in your life. You got to know that, okay, I got a pain, oh my God, now to do it. And the second point is, you talk about some painful memories and something. The moment you give power to, whatever memories that you have, you give power to good memories, you will be a blossoming person, happy person, because you remember the good thing that comes to your life. The moment you start giving powers to something negative that happened to your life, you're equally giving that power to those negative memories, and that is affecting your present. So be careful what you give powers to. Whatever that has happened in my life or anybody's else, I would never allow myself to give a single point of energy. It has happened, not it has gone in the past. Now, what should I?
Sure. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Right. Correct.
Why should I even give importance to something which happened in my life 10 years ago? And oh my God, that happened. Okay, good.
Yep.
So
All right. Yes.
that
Thanks.
is what I
Thanks
can.
so much for sharing this, Deepinder. Um, I agree to what you're saying. However, I would just like to add on here one important thing. When we work on power, energy, whatever we are saying, right? When we are working, what are we working on? We are working on how are we internally representing that information inside us and how are we utilizing it. So the more work which we are doing when we do work with NLP is, okay, there is a situation which has happened. What is the internal representation of that situation associated to me,
Mhm.
and how do I change or work around it or utilize coaching to do it or do whatever. But the point is about this situation which you just framed is, yes, completely, I respect that. There could be some people who are already doing their workouts, who are already doing their exercises, but they still have got something.
Okay.
All right. So which means that there could be certain other areas which can be explored. So this is one way to look at the entire scenario, which is of course with your example. However, there could be multiple ways from the structure point of view. If I go, there could be multiple ways to look at the same scenario in which there is a person who has been doing amazing workout, health freak, workout freak and everything, but still that person has received something in the body, and that could be a different meaning altogether. So coming back to the structure is the internal representation of how the internal representation of seeing, hearing, feeling is represented inside to myself. Thanks for your adding on. It's a beautiful example, definitely beautiful example. Mira, yes, I can say it, Mira, but you know what, when I work with NLP and when I work with coaching people, it's not about the positive attitude. Of course it is important. I'm positive, I'm positive, I'm positive, I'm very positive, I'm very positive, I'm very positive, I'm very positive. You know what, I'm really positive. I'm positive towards my life now. Now, do you know what is happening? If I'm incongruent to what I say, to what I believe, to what I do inside myself, and my internal representation is not matching with the entire process, the positive attitude, my coachee, she has come in or he has come in, and I've given that positive attitude for that half an hour, but that person again goes back in the same scenario, in the real context, and has no change, then my reframing is not going to work. So that's why reframe with a technique, Miraya. So I'm going to utilize techniques with reframe. It's a joint thing. It doesn't go alone. Yeah. Oh yeah, I believe that, Johnny. Body never lies. Yes. Yes, Nidhi, it is about human. It's about how does the data is processed inside me, and how do I keep my experiences inside in my map of the world, because the reality is different. So I can perceive anything, whatever is there in front of me. For example, let me show it to you. What is this? What is this? Let Nidhi, Kirat, Mira.
The bottle.
People. Okay, it's a bottle. What is it? Empty bottle. Okay. What else?
The bottom of the bottle.
The bottom of the bottle. What else?
You don't know what is there inside, whether it is water, whether it is milk, whether it is some soft drink, whether it is wine.
Wow, amazing. She's expanding the maps.
That's Riddhi with something in her hand.
Thanks, Johnny sir. I have something like a circle, a circumference of the, like a circle which is having a black color. I'm holding it with my left hand, and my right hand is over here. It's a description. It is having the best water inside is an evaluation, the best, the good, the bad, and it is having tasty, not tasty, tasty is again an evaluation. It's having a water is, which is a fact, just having a bottle is different. Interpreting what I see or hear or I feel is an interpretation, which is my reality.
Yeah.
And
like I
description is
think
just
Ridhima likes that water. Since she has it, then she likes it. That's an interpretation.
Also, here I would just like to add on, like people.
That's a distraction. Shirley, that's a distraction. Rhythm is actually having a genie in a bottle. She doesn't want us to know it.
Right.
so nice.
Right.
If there is a
That's
genie, you know what, at my home. Yeah, Nidhi, go ahead. You were adding
Yeah,
something.
so basically, as human beings, like we say, we differently behave because our mind, our brain is different. So
Mhm.
here we all answered as a sensor. You know, if we talk about Myers-Briggs personality type, here
Mhm.
we all have answered you as a sensor. But I feel being an intuitive gives a clear idea about, you know, all the things. This is what I feel. So
Hmm.
basically, major. This exercise I've done it with my students also. Majorly, I find people more sensor. So I have a question. What do you think? Being sensor is good, or we need to convert ourselves into intuitive personalities?
Okay, Nidhi, full respect to the entire process which you are saying. Very simple thing, which I believe, whatever is useful at that moment in that context, I would apply that. And that the thing which is useful here in this context could be useful. The thing which is not useful in this context could be useful in other context. Very simple example. The way I take NLP trainings is very different the way I take a corporate PPT trainings. In that, the structure and the way Ridhima's physiology would be completely different to the way Ridhima is in an NLP training while the work is going on in coaching. Okay. So then what am I doing? There is no good or bad, or there is no right or wrong. There is a behavior which I'm utilizing for an intention to be served at the higher level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. It is.
Okay, lovely. This is what I actually learned while I was with many mentors and many people, and of course with the experiences of different NLPers and practitioners, and many different things happen. And what I understood is, if there is a person who has come in and to say, I'm openly saying it live on the Facebook, there are people who have come and said that I want a divorce. I want you to help me to get a divorce because I can't live this life. Okay. So there is a purpose. I can't say the person is good or bad. I can't have my own judgments. I can't have my evaluations. Yeah, I can question, I can discuss, but there is a purpose. There is something. If the person is ready, and this has happened, the person wasn't ready. If the person is ready to work with himself and to get over the pain and then carry on the transaction, which is relationship, it's his choice, not mine. Right? All right, lovely. This is beautiful. I can really go on and on and on. NLP is just not, of course, one day thing. There are many concepts. We are going to meet you the next week with Shirley again on Saturday, the same time, which is 5 o'clock. Yeah, correct, Shirley? I'm sorry, 5 o'clock Indian time on Saturday. Next week we are going to do perceptual position, one of my favorites, which I utilize in New Code as well. Collaborations. It's a beautiful exercise. Please do not miss it. And the way we Shirley does it over here is just amazing. And there are people who have got the results, even if they were carrying something for 10 and 15 years. So we are taking up that concept the next week. Yes, there is a course which we are offering with Shirley. That's NLP Foundation, which is starting from the 1st of August, 1st or 2nd of August. And we're going to do a discussion on, and your questions on what is in the course. There's a long-term relationship which we maintain, the mentoring which we do, the relationship which we have, the problems and the solutions, etc., etc. That is at 5 p.m. tomorrow, Sunday, over here. with all of you. And if you want to know about the details, you can be here and discuss about it. All right. And yes, thank you so much for yesterday's. There are so many people who have booked their personal coaching because tasking, there are so many things tasking on it. Shirley, we got so many requests because the concept of tasking has so many meanings, right? And there are so many people. So thank you so much for the trust and thank you so much for your bookings on the tasking. We are going to do your personal coachings. Catch your topic for the next session. Prerna, thanks. Prerna, it is perceptual positions. It's a technique. It's a beautiful technique. Reframing is a concept. Perceptual position is a technique. And we're going to do that. All right. Tomorrow, 5 o'clock, we're going to discuss about NLP Foundation. It's a 1.5 month engagement. There are people who have done it. We've done 2 courses during the lockdown. 2 courses on NLP coaching, 2 courses on NLP Foundation. Every day we are doing free personal coachings and paid coachings. You can go on to the links and apply for it. I'll see you the next week for the Friday session with Kathy. And tomorrow at 5 p.m. IST for the description on the NLP Foundation course with Shirley. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, Rajesh. Thanks, Rajesh, for coming. It's been long. Thanks, Nidhi. It was lovely having you. Thanks, Dipender. Thanks, Priyanka. Thank you, Johnny. Thanks, Samir. Thanks, Dilip. Hello, Kirat, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandhya. Thanks, Aparna, Deepak. There are so many people who haven't spoken to me, so I really have a big list to go on. So thanks, Meera. It was lovely having you. You were looking beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Nupur. Hey, Rupa. What's up? Ashwin, so many days you are reading, writing, following. That's nice. Keep working. Please keep practicing, everyone. This is a work of practice. Thanks, Palash. Thanks, Milind and Sonia. Thank you, Aparna, for being here. Hey, Arohi, thank you so much. Oh,
how do they attend tomorrow's session?
Rahul, can you please send the link to everyone again here? It is there on the link tree. Yeah, just sending it. Thanks, Reethi. It was nice having you. Thank you, Milind. Thanks,
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening there. Enjoy.
You have a great morning. You look beautiful, Shirley.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye,
Signing off.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Next week's session, Meera. Rahul, can you send the link again? Thanks, Deepinder ji. ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਟੋਰੀਆਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਲੱਗਦੀਆਂ. Thank you for sharing. And we will wait for your biceps and triceps. Yeah, I like that. I've seen your picture. It just comes so fit. That's cool. Hey Palash, hey everyone. Thanks so much. Hope you understood. Thank you so much. We're going off on Facebook. Thanks everyone.